Mr. Secretary, you answered a written question to Senator Hirono last year that you were, quote, aware of no case in which the Interior Department had purposely withheld or improperly delayed the sharing of scientific information with the public where disclosure was appropriate. In 2018, the director of USGS, James Riley, asked scientists to gin up emission figures so that he and other Trump appointees could craft a good story about how carbon emissions from wildfires compared to fossil fuels. The goal was ostensibly to justify cutting forest protection efforts. 2017, then Deputy Assistant Secretary for Land and Minerals Management, Catherine McGregor, canceled a study examining the health impacts of mountaintop coal mining after holding a significant number of meetings with mining companies. Just last week, the New York Times published a story about an Interior employer who is well known within the department for inserting inaccurate and misleading information, highlighting the uncertainty of climate change into at least 9 major DOI reports. Sir, under your leadership, the Department of Interior seems intent on subjugating scientific land management and conservation to political and corporate purposes. Mr. Secretary, were you aware of these instances? And is the Department taking action to ensure that you, as Secretary, are aware of cases where scientific information is improperly withheld, delayed, or altered?
So science obviously plays a critical role in the work that we do every day. I spend a lot of time with scientists, and on my watch, for the first time in decades, we have a career science advisor in the Secretary's office. His name is Bill Werkheiser. He was with the U.S. Geological Survey for years. Before he came into my office, he was the department's chief scientific integrity officer. And any time we have something that raises a question about scientific integrity, I ask him to look at it. And here's a couple of facts for you, sir. In 2017, 2018, and 2019, the number of formal scientific integrity complaints filed at the Department of the Interior is down substantially from the years 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. That's a fact.
So back to my question. Were you aware of these 3 instances?
Anytime I hear about an instance, I ask Bill to look at it.
Were you aware of these 3?
Well, I certainly am aware of the New York Times article, and when we looked at it, the email traffic that I've seen so far is a back and forth between experts, and that's what it is. Happy to provide you those documents and let you review them yourself.
Back to my question. Were you aware of these 3 instances, and did you, I'll add, did you investigate this beyond looking at an email path as whether or not this
we've looked at it for whether or
employee
not
was doing this?
Let me be very clear. We are looking at that matter. I think it's unlikely it amounts to a issue of scientific misconduct. It's a back and forth between experts.
Okay. Just because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'll ask if you are aware of the 2017 incident with Catherine McGregor canceling a study about the impacts of mountaintop coal mining.
I'm certainly aware that this study was canceled.
And were you told why it was canceled?
I think it occurred before I was there, but I'm happy to look at that.
You were aware of it. Did you investigate it after the fact?
It's not a question of scientific integrity.
Okay, let's just pretend it's not a question of scientific integrity. It still matters because it impacts the Department of Interior and its reasoning and efforts going forward.
So let me be very clear with
You're
what I
being really the opposite of clear.
What I expect is that we take the science as it comes. For every decision, I have an element of fact, which is whatever the facts are. We don't change facts. We can't change the facts. The facts are the facts. We have an element of law, and we have an element of policy. For virtually every decision I make, There's some combination of those three factors.
Why would you
And we
cancel,
always-
why would they cancel this study? Did anyone tell you why?
I know there have been explanations provided, and I'm happy to provide you the explanations.
So that's 2 out of 3. And on the 2018, James Riley asking scientists to gin up emissions figures. Were you aware of this?
I was not, but I do know that gin up is a word that James Riley has used. He used it in front of me yesterday, and I told him that may not be the best word to utilize.
Okay, so if you could
I think what
investigate
he
all
meant.
3
I
and
think
get
he
back
meant.
to us.
I think what he meant when he said that was,
To be clear?
let's put it together, not create artificially.
Respectfully, it
which is
sounds a
your
lot more
assumption.
opaque than clear when you say gin up. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Quigley. I'm always no longer